The hall on Orbital Station 9 floated above a glowing cloud layer where ships passed like drifting sparks. People from many worlds moved across the station, each carrying their own hopes. For cycles, the place had been known as a center for music, learning, and cultural exchange. Yet that night, the hall carried more tension than usual because someone important was coming. A well-known musician from the core planets. A man named Ryan had announced that he wanted to evaluate new talent for an upcoming interworld concert. The event was rare. Ryan did not travel often, and when he did, he accepted only a few performers. Those he chose often rose to fame across many systems. When the announcement went out, countless young artists sent messages, hoping for a chance. Most were declined. Only a handful were selected to play privately for him during his visit. One of them was a quiet young woman named Lena. Lena had grown up on the lower levels of the station where metal walls hummed and lights flickered from old wiring. She had found music by accident when she was a child. A storage worker had thrown away an old practice piano with cracked keys and a broken speaker. She dragged it to her room and fixed it herself. She had no teacher. She watched recordings through a small old screen and taught her hands to copy what she heard. In time, she developed a sound that others could not match. Her playing had warmth that seemed to rise straight from the deepest part of her being. Anyone who heard it claimed they felt something inside settle, as if they had been given a moment of peace. Still, the upper world of the station often ignored people like her. When she walked past the galleries where wealthy residents gathered, some would glance at her clothes and walk away. A few even laughed when they heard she played music. She did not fight back because she believed her music would speak for her someday. That day arrived the moment she received the message that she had been invited to perform for Ryan. Lena stared at the screen for a long time, thinking the message had been sent to the wrong person. It took her a while to accept it was real. She practiced for days without sleep. She played until her fingers felt numb. She wanted to be perfect. She wanted to prove that someone from the lower levels could rise through devotion alone. When the day came, she walked through wide, bright corridors, past people dressed in polished suits and shining jewelry. Some stared again, wondering how someone so plain could be part of the event. She kept her steps firm. She entered the quiet hall where only a few lights were on, making the place feel like a STARFIELD. At the center stood a grand piano carved from dark alloy, its surface reflecting tiny lights. A few assistants walked around preparing things. Ryan sat near the front row. He looked calm, almost distant, his eyes focused on a handheld device. His hair fell over his forehead in neat lines. Though he did not speak, everyone felt his presence shape the room. Lena looked at him once, then lowered her gaze. She took a slow breath, walked to the piano, and sat down. For a moment she placed her hands on her lap, trying to steady her racing heart. One assistant cleared his throat and said that she could begin. The hall fell silent. Even the air seemed to stop moving. Lena touched the keys. The first sound she made was soft, like a small wave touching the shore. Then another note followed, then a series of clear tones that drifted into the air like threads of silver. Each chord carried emotion, shaped through years of longing. She did not think about technique. She thought only of the sound she wanted to shape. She thought of her old room, her cracked screen, the nights she played while others slept. Something changed in the hall. The lights seemed softer. People who had been standing near the walls moved closer. One of the assistants forgot to check his list. Ryan shifted slightly in his seat and tilted his head. He was not easily surprised, yet there was something unusual in the way her music moved. Lena played a melody that rose steadily. It felt like a person climbing from a dark tunnel toward the sun. The sound spread to every corner of the room. It touched people gently, reminding them of moments they had forgotten. A visitor from a distant world felt reminded of the sound of wind near his home mountains. A worker from the station remembered childhood afternoons in the sun. A guard at the back suddenly let go of her constant tension. Lena's music had reached them as she played the next passage. Her hands glided with confidence. Her expression changed. She no longer looked nervous. She looked free. The old training videos she had watched had always shown perfect posture, precise hand forms, and sharp moves. She had learned from them, but her playing also had something else. Her sound felt alive. It carried hope from a place deeper than skill. Ryan watched carefully. His eyes narrowed, not in criticism, but in concentration. He had listened to many performers. Some played with flawless precision. Others played with passion, but lacked control. Very few had both. Even fewer had something beyond technique and passion. He felt something from her music that he had not felt in a long time. It moved him in a way that reminded him why he had begun his journey in music. She reached the final section. Her fingers slowed, letting each note linger. The melody softened until it became almost like a whisper. When the last tone faded, the hall stayed silent. No one spoke. No one clapped. They simply sat, stunned by the calm that settled over them. Lina lowered her hands gently. She did not look up at first. When she did, she found that Ryan was already standing. His expression was hard to read, but he walked toward her with steady steps. She rose from her seat, unsure of what he might say. Ryan stopped a few steps away from her. His voice, when he finally spoke, held none of the distance people expected from him. He said he had traveled across many stars and heard countless performances, but hers had something rare. He told her that he did not care where she came from. He cared only about the truth she put into the music. And what she had given today was honest. Lina felt her heart lift. She did not say much. She only bowed her head in gratitude. Ryan asked her to join his interworld concert. His assistants looked surprised. This offer did not come often. Some of them had spent their lives waiting for such a chance. Yet he had given it to someone they had once ignored. Word spread across the station. People in the corridors talked about the girl from the lower levels who had stunned the famous musician. Some did not believe it until they saw the recording that later circulated quietly. When they watched it, they felt the same pause, the same unexpected calm. In the following days, Lena's life changed. She moved to the upper floors, where she received proper training, though her own style remained at the center of what she did. Ryan often checked on her progress. He gave her guidance, but never tried to reshape her natural sound. He believed that her heart held something he could not teach. Meanwhile, some who had once judged her felt uneasy. They remembered the times they ignored or laughed at her. They did not know that those moments had only strengthened her resolve. Lena did not hold anger. She did not need to. Her music had already answered everyone who doubted her. As the weeks passed, she practiced for the big concert. It would be held on a wide stage floating above a blue planet. Hundreds of delegates from different worlds would attend. The pressure was high. Many performers trained for years to take such a stage. Yet Lena stayed calm. She remembered her first piano, the broken keys, the flickering screen, the simple dream she carried as a child. That dream had brought her here. She believed that if she played from the same place within herself, she would be fine. The day of the concert arrived. The floating stage glowed with warm lights. People streamed in from all directions. Screens around the venue displayed the names of the performers. When Lena's name flashed, a gentle wave of curiosity swept through the crowd. Some had heard about her. Some had not. They waited to see what she would do. Backstage, Lena sat alone for a moment. She closed her eyes and breathed. She imagined the old station hall, the soft hum of the metal walls, and her first quiet notes. She opened her eyes and walked toward the stage. When she stepped under the lights, the hall fell silent. Ryan watched from the front row, his hands folded. Lena bowed, took her seat at the piano, and placed her fingers lightly on the keys. The first sound she made was clear and soft. The melody began to weave through the air, slow and steady, like the gentle rise of dawn. It reached the listeners in waves. Some closed their eyes. Some leaned forward. Her sound had a strange power. It connected everyone in the room without forcing anything. As she played, the hall brightened. Not from lights, but from the feeling within the people. Delegates from distant star systems felt unity they rarely experienced. The notes mixed with their memories, their hopes, and their longing for peace in a universe full of conflict. Humans had long been seen as emotional, but unpredictable by other civilizations. Yet in her performance, they saw something else. Humanity's heart, humanity's strength, humanity's ability to rise from difficult places with nothing but determination and creativity. This was HFY, a quiet reminder that humans carried something powerful within them. Lena reached the last part of her piece. The notes rose softly, then faded like a slow exhale. Silence followed, a deep, heavy silence that held awe within it. Then the hall erupted into applause. People stood. Some cheered. Some wiped their eyes. Even beings who did not normally show emotion felt something stir. Ryan rose as well. He did not clap loudly. Instead, he placed a hand over his chest, a gesture of deep respect in his culture. Lena saw it and felt a warm rush inside. She gave a small bow. Her performance had said everything she wanted to say. Her journey was no longer about proving anything. It was about sharing what lived inside her spirit. From that moment on, Lena became known as a symbol of hope. Not because she sought fame, but because she showed that beauty could rise from any corner of the universe. Her story traveled far. People across many worlds spoke of the young woman from a quiet station who played truth into the hearts of strangers. And every time someone doubted themselves or felt unseen, they remembered her music. They remembered how she stood before a famous musician who came to evaluate her, and how she let her piano speak for her. In the end, the message was simple. Talent could be overlooked, but it could not be silenced. Truth could be ignored, but it could not be erased. When someone believed deeply in what they loved, their work could touch the universe in ways no one expected. Lena continued to perform, not for applause, but for the quiet moments when sound became something more. Her music carried across star systems, turning distant hearts toward hope. Her story lived on. Her music lived on. And those who heard her never forgot the feeling of peace her notes brought to the room.